It is winter in Leningrad, sometime in the early 1950s. The snow creaks beneath heavy boots. Inside the brick walls of a kommunalka, life stirs. 5 families share one apartment, one stove, one toilet, one bathtub. One narrow hallway echoes with the voices of generations, negotiating space, time, and silence. This is not a tale of politics or power. This is the intimate story of Natasha, a girl, a student, a woman, an engineer, who lived and breathed the everyday rhythms of the Soviet Union. Here, privacy is a luxury. Even silence must be scheduled. The kitchen is a battlefield of routines and recipes, where neighbors debate over stovetime and discuss ration lines between the clink of teacups. Little Natasha sleeps on a couch in the living room. Her parents hang a curtain at night, their version of a wall. Heat comes sporadically, but the radio is always on. A voice reciting poems, news of steel quotas, and the soft hum of a system trying to shape souls. Years pass. The thaw begins. Stalin is gone. Natasha is now a young woman, hands calloused by tools and textbooks. She works in a factory outside Moscow. Steel machines rumble beneath banners proclaiming 5-year plan victory. There are quotas to meet, always more to produce. But tools break, materials arrive late, and still, workers adapt. They fix what should be replaced. They improvise, barter, and adjust timelines. They are not just laborers, they are engineers of survival. In school, Natasha once recited verses from Das Kapital. Her education was rigorous: mathematics, chemistry, Marxism. Each lesson was a building block, not only for careers, but for consciousness. To be Soviet meant to believe, or at least appear to. But even here, between memorized oaths and exam sheets, students whispered jokes, shared samizdat literature, and dreamt, not of rebellion, but of something different, quieter. A life with more choice, or simply more color. In the 1970s, Natasha gets something her parents never had: a door that closes, a room of her own. The Khrushchevka may be gray and plain, thin walls, low ceilings, but for millions, it is a palace. No more waiting for the bathroom, no more whispering through curtains. Here, Natasha grows houseplants, reads science fiction, and hosts friends for tea. The apartment is small, but it belongs to her family, and that means something. Evenings in the USSR are quiet but rich. Natasha listens to Alla Pugacheva on the radio, and sometimes, quietly, to the Beatles on a smuggled cassette. Official culture is loud, monumental, planned. But underneath it runs an underground current of banned books, translated lyrics, Western films passed from hand to hand. No protests, no shouting, just curiosity. And the quiet thrill of something not permitted. The kitchen is where truth lives, beyond the reach of slogans, away from party meetings. Here, over pickled tomatoes and sugar cubes, people speak plainly. About disappointment, about lost hopes, about tomorrow. Natasha laughs with her neighbors, debates philosophy, and sometimes just sits quietly sipping black tea as the frost creeps along the glass. By the early 1980s, Natasha is in her 30s. The city has changed, or perhaps only aged. Lines for groceries are longer, meat is scarce. But the theater still performs Chekhov, and children still run in snow-covered courtyards. There's talk of reform, of glasnost, of perestroika, but not yet. For now, it is the era of stagnation. And still, people live, work, dream, endure. Alone by the window, Natasha reflects on decades behind her. There was hardship, but also laughter, gray walls, but bright ideas. A system that tried to shape her, yet never quite defined her. She is Soviet, but also simply human. And like all humans, she made meaning, not from grand ideals, but from small things. Tea shared, books read, a quiet room, a locked door. As the dawn rises, the city wakes again. In kitchens, in trams, in worn stairwells. Natasha's story is not one of revolution, but of endurance. Of lives lived within walls both real and imagined. She did not dismantle the system, but she outlasted it. And in her resilience, we find a truth that echoes through all history, that even in silence, even in scarcity, people live. And where people live, there is meaning.